Senator Jones.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you both for being here today. Dr. Waller, thank you for your work. I appreciate it. I know you have not had as many questions. We haven't had the chance to meet, but I appreciate that. I do want to direct my questioning to Dr. Shelton. Dr. Shelton, in 2011, there was a guy named Bernard von Nothaus. He was a creator of a fictional currency called the Liberty Dollar. He was convicted in a North Carolina federal jury by making, possessing, and selling $60 million worth of his own precious metal-backed currency. The U.S. Mint had actually had to issue a warning about this because he was putting on this that they had to issue a warning that it was not legal tender, even though it was marked with dollar signs, the word dollar, USA, and said, trust in God instead of God we trust. The prosecutor from North Carolina in that case called him, accused him of domestic terrorism. He had written in his book that he denied 9/11 had happened and compared it to those people who think that Lee Harvey Oswald did not kill President Kennedy. I would call this guy an outlier, as my colleague Senator Shelby had talked about outliers completely out of the mainstream with regard to things. But in a 2012 interview, you called this guy the Rosa Parks of monetary policy. Now, I got to tell you, I'm a native Alabamian. Rosa Parks has got a statue in the United States Capitol. She had, in one act of courage, defied the Jim Crow laws and tried to bring down the walls of oppression that kept a race of people from voting and for basic human and civil rights. And this guy seems to be issuing defiance on a federal government policy, monetary policy. And you have praised that. You said because he is challenging what the federal government has done with regard to carrying out its constitutional responsibility to maintain the value of U.S. currency. At the Cato Institute, when he praised you, you said to him, I very much admire your boldness and audacity. I think you're really challenging the Fed in a way I respect. What am I missing? If that is not out of the mainstream of America, of history, I don't know what is. So tell me what I'm missing when you think a guy like this needs to be compared and what he's trying to do to the monetary policy in the United States, how that compares to the courage of someone like Rosa Parks.
Well, Senator Jones, the last thing that I would ever do is demean the courage of Rosa Parks.
Well, you did. You do realize that, don't you? I mean, you did by doing that.
I apologize for the comparison. I truly do. The gentleman you're referring to, he did an audacious thing. I would never condone violating.
Did you admire what he did with the Liberty Dollar and $60 million and being convicted in a federal crimes in North Carolina? Do you admire that, Ms. Shelton?
I believe that he was testing the idea that the Constitution in Article 1, Section 10 says that states can only use gold and silver as legal tender. So
within the Federal Reserve, is that something you want to test? I mean, you're going to be within this if you get confirmed. Is that something that you want to test? Are you now taking that admiration to inside the walls of the Federal Reserve? Is that what we're to think?
No, Senator. And as I've said a number of times this morning, it's important to acknowledge that the power to regulate the value of U.S. money is granted to Congress by the Constitution, not to the Fed. Congress created the Federal Reserve as an independent agency and gave it a monetary mandate to promote maximum employment, stable prices, and moderate long-term interest rates. And that is the framework under which I would make decisions if confirmed.
You have indicated at one point that you thought that we might want to go to a standard like the euro, creating something for North America, a currency called the Amero. Do you still believe that? Is that a good policy?
Well, Senator, sometimes I am asked to think out of the box and look at future scenarios.
I'm just asking you a quick question. I got 30 seconds. Is that a good policy or not?
I just want to clarify, I'm not pursuing that as an initiative, but I do think that when the currencies of our major trading partners depreciate against the dollar, it changes the terms of trade even after they've been carefully negotiated.
Well, Dr. Shelton, I got to be honest with you. I've heard the questions and answers, and I've heard several senators here question what you have written in the past with what you're saying today. It reminds me of a comment that my old boss, Senator Heflin, who I sit in his seat now, talked about a number of people having a confirmation conversion. But I think you said it best, that what we will get is the authentic Judy Shelton, and that is what bothers me tremendously. But thank you, Mr. Chairman.